Good morning, everyone. I hope my screen is visible to you and I'm audible to you. Just type a yes or no in the chat window. Am I audible and screen is visible? Okay, great. So what you have is this course handout which is uploaded on the chalkpad. Okay. So if you look at it, before your FA, which is going to be conducted somewhere on the first, it will be on the Monday. It will be on Monday. Okay. Most probably on Monday. Okay. Date will be confirmed. You will be having arrays. You'll be having the control structure such as if, else, loops, nested loops, and so on. And the very basics of the Java such as keyword, class, and so on. Is it clear to you? So this is the course handout being uploaded on the chalkpad. You should regularly visit the chalkpad and download it and keep it for your reference. So after FA1, immediately you are going to have a FA2 and this complete syllabus will be there for ST1. This complete syllabus will be there for ST1. Clear? Okay. So let's concentrate on the logic development using arrays. Okay. So when I say int a is equal to 10, what is happening is somewhere in the memory, we have a variable a having the value 10 at location 1000. This is just an assumption. This 1000 is nothing but the address. This 1000 is nothing but the address. Okay. Now, in case you want to store more than one value, we could use something called as an array. So how do I declare an array? Int, put a square bracket over here. Name of the variable a equal to new int and 5. Let's understand this. If you need to declare a variable, you say a and before that you type a data type. In case of arrays, again we have the same concept. We have the variable name and we have a data type, but after the data type, immediately we have a square bracket. So this indicates that it's an reference variable of the type array. Memory is not allocated when I say int square bracket array. Kindly pay attention. When I do something like this, the memory is not allocated. You are simply saying that it is a reference variable of the type integer, which is an array. It is when we use new along with the keyword int along with the size, what will happen is somewhere in the memory it is going to allocate memory to store how many elements? Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is going to store how many elements? 5 elements. Okay. This 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is index. Okay. What will be the address of this? Let's assume it is 1000. So what will be the address of this? 4. This will be 8. This will be 12. This will be 16. So if the starting address is 1000, which we call it as a base address, then the address of the first element will be 1004, 1008, 1012 and 1016. Why? Because integer takes how much space? It takes 4 bytes. It takes 4 bytes. Are you with me? Is the concept clear to you? When I say int a, it means that you are declaring a variable which can store the value. When I say int square bracket a, it means you are declaring an array. And you are declaring an array in which we could store the multiple values. In our case, it is 5. The next important point is an array is a collection of similar elements where the elements are stored next to each other. Where the elements are stored next to each other. That means, why next to each other? Because if you look over here, the address is 1000, the address is 4, the address is 8, 12, 16. It is continuous. And the array elements are accessed using something called as an index. Something called as a index. That means how I can assign the value? I can assign the value by saying a0 equal to, let's assume 5. So what will happen? It will go to the 0th place and assign the value 5. a1 equal to 20. This will be 20. a2 equal to 6. a3 equal to 100. a4 equal to 120. 120. So if you look over here, individual elements are accessed using something called as index. Clear? Array elements are accessed using something called as a index. And the index is running from 0 to n minus 1. 0 to n minus 1. If my n is 10, that means index will be from 0 to 10 minus 1, 9. If my index is 5, then the index will be running from 0 to 4, as it is indicated out over here. Is it clear? So what is an array? An array is a collection of a similar elements. So why similar? Because I can't do something like this, in which the first two elements are integer, the next is double, the next again two are integer. That is not allowed. This is double. This is double, which is not allowed. Why? Because my declaration says that a is an integer array. Are you with me? Clear? So let's go back to so let's see how we could write a simple program in Java using an array. Using an array. Point number 1. Int square bracket a is equal to new int square bracket. Let's have some value. Let's have it as 3. Okay. So how will you read this? A is an array of the type integer, which can store how many elements? 3 elements. You allocate the memory by saying new int 3. Okay. Fine. Let's declare one more variable, I is equal to 0. Okay. And then I will use a loop while I less than 3. While I less than 3. While I less than 3, what we need to do? We need to accept the data. Since we need to accept the data, what I will do? I will declare a scanner object. Scanner obj equal to new scanner system dot. Okay. Let's go back over here and say import java.util.scanner. Okay, import java.util.scanner. Okay. Let's make it as obj. Now, what we need to do? We need to accept the data. We need to accept the data. No, this is not a spelling mistake. Okay, I could use any variable name. I could use OBN. I could use OBN because it's just a variable name. It's just a variable name. Okay, I can give any variable name. I can give X, Z, A, something like this also because it is simply a variable name. See, I have said now ONG. Now let's see whether it works or not. What we need to do, we need to accept the data. Okay. So what I should do, I should say left hand side A of I. A of I. Why A of I? Because I told you that array elements are accessed using index. And the index is running from 0 to 2. 0, 1, 2. And then what we should say? We should say ONG dot next. Okay, AI is equal to ONJ dot next int. Keep on accepting the data. Once we are out of the loop, what we need to do? We need to display the content. So come out of it. And here you say ONJ dot close. ONJ dot close. And here we'll say system dot out dot print A of I plus. We need the braces? No, we don't need the brace. Why? Because it's a simple statement. Only we have one statement. And after that, it will come out of the program. It will come out of the program. Let's run this and see whether it runs or not. So what we did, we declare an array with how many elements? 3 elements. I is equal to 0, scanner ONJ is equal to new scanner system.in, while I less than 3. Keep on accepting the data. Okay. Now what will happen if I do something like this? 1, 2, 3. It doesn't come out. It doesn't come out because what we did was we missed out a semicolon over here. We missed out a semicolon. So click on the stop, and after this line, what we should do, we should say I plus plus. We should say I plus plus. Okay. Similarly over here, while I less than 3, system.out.print AI plus space, what we should do, we should say I plus plus. Otherwise, it will be an infinite loop. But since it is a multiple statement, what we need to do, we need to use the braces. We need to use the braces. Clear? Let's run this now and check whether it is working or not. It won't work for a very simple reason. I will tell you. What is the value of I? 0. Is 0 less than 3? Yes. Accept the data for 0th element. I plus plus 1. Is 1 less than 3? Yes. Accept the data for the first. I plus plus 2. Is 2 less than 3? Accept the data for the second. I plus plus 3. Is 3 less than 3? No. Comes out. At this point, what is the value of I? 3. Is 3 less than 3? No. Comes out. So you won't be getting any output. You won't be getting any output. So if I run the code by saying 3, 10, 20, 30. What happened? I made a mistake. AI, I plus plus 1. Then let me run this again. One moment. The first element is 3, the second element is 10, the third element is 20. Now I is equal to 0. Is 0 less than 3? Yes. Display the value of AI. Let's run this. 10, 20, 30. And it displays 10, 20, 30. It displays 10, 20, 30. So in this program, point number 1, what we did, we declared an array with the size 3. So how we should declare an array? Int square bracket. Kindly pay attention. Square bracket is immediately given after int. Int I is equal to 0. This is for keeping track of the index. You create a scanner object. In a loop, you accept the data. When you're accepting a data for a single variable, what we used to do? We used to say a is equal to obj.nextInt. In this case, I'm saying ai is equal to obj.nextInt. I++ will be allowing me to access the next element. onj.close will close that particular scanner. I is equal to 0, I less than 3, I++. What it is going to do, it is going to display the content at the 0th index, 1 index, and 2 index, and then it comes out of the program. Is the code clear to you? Is the code clear to you? Any doubt in this? Kindly, I'm waiting for a minute. Okay, in case you have any doubt, kindly raise it. System.out.println. Okay, you want to do that. So type system.out.print and you type a. Run this and see what happens. 1, 2, 3. So what happens is it displays a 1, 2, 3. And when I display the contents of A, what it displayed? It displays the base address. It displayed the base address. So you will ask me, what is the base address? The address of the array. The address of the array. So when you say system.out.print A, what it is going to do? It is going to display the address of the array. It is going to display address of the array. So point number 1, declare an array with n elements. Point number 2, declare a scanner object. Point number 3, using a loop, accept the data. Point number 4, close the array, close the scanner. Point number 5, display the content or whatever is the question. If I give system.out.print, what will happen? It will give me the base address, the address of an array. You have any doubt? When I say system.a, for example, if you declare a variable, single variable, and when I try to display the content, it will display the value. But if you try to display the contents of an array using simply the array name, it is going to give me the address, the hexadecimal address. We call it as a hash value. We call it as a hash value. You'll be learning about hashing later on. But right now, remember that this will not display the contents of the array. Is it clear to you? Okay. The next question is, can I do something like this, which is done in C++? Can I declare a square bracket after the variable name? Yes, you can do it. Normally, the Java programmers avoid it. Java programmers avoid it. What does the Java programmer say? That the array is associated not with the variable, the array is associated with the data type. That means when I say declare an array of the integer type, your square bracket ideally should be over here. But even if you type something like this, no one is going to stop you. Okay, only thing is it's a bad practice. It's a bad practice. Your program will still work. Your program is going to still work. Are you with me? So the first variation is, if you write a square bracket after a, it is still going to work. Is it clear? Can I do something like this? Int a square bracket a is equal to new int, and let's have the size as 3. I do something like this. Let's check it out. What I had done, I have said int a square bracket, and on the next line a is equal to new int 3. New int 3. Let's see whether it will work or not. So when I do this, does it work? Yes, it works. If you want, you can split the array declaration into two parts. Int a square bracket indicates that a is a reference variable of the integer type, indicating that it is going to store a array. Memory is not allocated at this point. Memory is allocated when you say a is equal to new int 3. New int 3. Is it clear? If you look at the main C, most of the compiler will write a square bracket after string, but even if you write it over here, it is still going to work. Even if you write it over here, it is still going to work. But it is considered as a bad practice because array square bracket is what? Square bracket is an array. How you raise a question? Array. What is an array? Array of the data type. We don't say array of the variable. We say array of the data type. Hence, the array should be associated with the data type, not with the variable name. This is the convention followed in Java. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Is it clear to you? Even if you write something like this, it will work. But normally, you won't be allowed to write something like this as per the convention. As per the convention. Because what it says that the array should be associated with the data type for the clarity purpose. When you say string square bracket, it is clear that you are declaring an array of the type string. You are declaring an array of the type string. And number two, no memory is allocated if you don't use a new. No memory is allocated if you don't use a new. For example, if I don't do like something like this and try to run a code, then see what happens. Variable a may not have been initialized. A of I is equal to obj dot nextInt. Obj dot nextInt. It raises a flag over here saying that you cannot accept the data for which you have not allocated the memory. Okay. So can I do something like this? Can I specify the size over here, which is allowed in C and which is allowed in C++? Int a square bracket 3. Okay. Now I have what I have done. I declared an array with 3 elements. This is just for explanation. Okay. For the explanation, I'm giving you this. Otherwise, it's a wrong syntax. Let's try to run this and see what happens. Again, it says that it doesn't understand this particular syntax of int square bracket 3. Okay, so let's remove this and try to put it over here and put a size over here and put a size over here. Saying that it is an array of 3 elements. Name is A. Name is A. Still, it doesn't work. So the only way out to declare an array is have a square bracket, variable name equal to new int square bracket and mention the size and mention the size. Is it clear to you? Yes, no? So what does this program illustrate? This program illustrates how to declare an array, how to accept the data, how to display the data. That's it. Only 3 points we have discussed. How to declare an array, how to accept the data, and how to display the data. Clear? How does this help in the declaration of the array? I think you're not getting my point, what I'm trying to raise over here. When I say int square bracket, it's a clear indication that you're declaring an array of the int. You're not declaring an array of the A. Is it clear, Manjot? Or I'm not in a position to understand your question? Kindly type yes or no so that I can proceed further. I'm waiting for your response. Okay, no response. Let's move ahead. New is used to allocate the memory. New is used to allocate the memory. How you should read is something like this. This is an array of the type integer. A is a variable name. This new allocates the memory for this array with 3 elements, and they are stored in a contiguous location because of this particular declaration. Clear? Okay. Now let's assume I want to allocate the values 10, 20, 30. Okay. Let's see whether this works or not. I don't need a scanner, so let's comment this out and let's close this out. I don't need this particular content. So if you want a single line of comment, what we can do, we can use 2/. Okay. What will this front slash asterisk and asterisk front slash indicate? It is an multi-line comment, and again this is a single line comment. Now what I'm trying to explain over here, int square bracket A is equal to new int 3 and having the value 10, 20, 30. So it is telling that it is an array with 3 elements, but I don't want to accept, I already know the values. So these are the values. Let's see whether this runs or not. Int square bracket A is equal to new int square bracket and then opening bracket 10, 20, 30. Okay. It says that there is an error in this. There is an error in this. Okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to go to the net and tell me what is the mistake I'm making over here. Sir, if 3 integers are taken, what memory would be occupied? Very simple, 3 into size of int. What is 3? The size. How many elements are there? What is size of integer? 4. So what will be the size? It will be 12. So now a small activity is there. You have to go to the net and tell me how I can initialize an array. I have made certain mistakes. I want you to correct it for me. 1 minute activity. If you have found out, write down the answer in the chat window. We need not specify the size as number of element is initialized. Okay. So what I will do, I'll remove this and try to run it. And when I run it, it gives me the contents of an array. It gives me the contents of an array. So when you are initializing an array, when you're initializing it, so what you should do is you should skip the size of it. Do not give the size, because size will be now automatically determined by the compiler by counting the number of elements. How many elements are there? 3. Okay, so what is the size of an integer? 4. So how much space it will occupy? It is going to occupy 12 bytes. Are you with me? See, I want to declare and initialize it on the same line. Clear? So this is one of the syntax. Now, if that is the case, can I drop this particular line new int? Let's check this out. Let's comment this out. Copy this, paste it, and directly write 10, 20, 30. Okay, another way. And now let's try to compile this and check whether it is working or not. Run it. Okay, so now again it is getting executed. But normally we do not use this syntax, because what happens is when you use this syntax, it is very clear to you that you are allocating the memory as well as initializing it. Here internally what is happening is you have declared an array. Since you have initialized it, what will happen, this will get expanded into something like this. Kindly create an array and then initialize it with 10, 20, 30. Okay, but this is a shortcut for it. This is a shortcut saying that I'm declaring an array and initializing it. That means internally what should happen? First it should allocate a memory using this line, and then it should assign the value to it. Are you with me? Giving you a minute to raise any questions. Yeah, when we do not use a new keyword over here, internally what will happen is this will be split in this following fashion. Okay, declare an array, allocate the memory, something like this, and then count the number of elements. How many elements are there? 3 elements are there. So 3 into size of integer. So that many space will be allocated. Any doubt? When we do not use a new keyword, something like this is going to happen in the memory. Declare an array, allocate the memory, initialize it. Automatically done. But this happens only when we are initializing, not when you are accepting the data. Any other question? It is done implicitly. Okay. Now what you are supposed to do? Pay attention. You are supposed to accept the n from the user. Let's assume we have entered it as 5. So based on the value entered, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to declare an array with that particular n elements. So if you declare it as 5, then what should happen? You should declare an array with how many elements? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you should declare an array, something like this. So point number 1, declare, accept a value n from the user, declare an array of integer of that particular size, Right now we are discussing only the integer array. After that we'll be discussing about the string. But the main idea is something like this. You allocate the memory, accept the data, and then work on it. Now what you're going to do? You're going to accept the data. You're going to accept the data. But that data will be accepted in a function. So let's call the function as accept. Let's call the function as accept. That means what I want you to do is declare an array of size n, and it is assumed that you have entered the value of n. So you have declared an a. Now what I want you to do, I want you to write two functions. One is accept. So what is this accept function going to do? It is going to accept the data in this particular array. Then what you are going to do? Then you are going to call the display function. So what will display function do? Display function will display the contents of an array. Will display the contents of an array. Then what you are going to do? You are going to make a call to the reverse. You are going to make a call to the reverse. What should reverse do? Reverse should reverse the contents. Reverse should reverse the contents. Do not display it. I am not telling display the contents in a reverse order. I am telling you to change the contents of an array. Fourth step is again make a call to the display. Again make a call to the display. So what should display do? Display should display the contents in the reverse order because already the contents are reverse. Already the contents are reverse. Is it clear to you? Point number 1, declare and accept a value of n from the user. Point number 2, declare an array of the size n. Let's do these two tasks. Let's do the two tasks. Okay, step by step. So what I want is I want your help over here. What I want from you is these two lines. Int n, what we should do, and then what we should do after this. Tell me, after int n, what we should do. Kindly type it in the chat window. Pay attention. We are supposed to accept the value for n. We are supposed to declare an array of that particular n. That into consideration, tell me what should I do after this? I'm waiting for a minute for your next answer. Okay. So first step is we should declare a scanner object. Scanner obj is equal to new scanner system dot in. After that, what we need to do? We have to say n is equal to obj dot next int. Obj dot next int. Accept the data for n. Accept the data for n. Now that you have done the first task, okay, I'll give a single line over here. I'll give a single line spacing for your understanding. And then I will say a is equal to new int and specify the size. And specify the size. That is n. Clear? So now we have done it. Int square a square bracket is equal to new int and then we are saying the size as n. Now what I want you to make a call to which function? Accept function with two parameters, a and n. Then make a call to which function? Display with the value a and n. Okay. So now what I want you to do, I want you to write a function called as accept. So how you are going to write? Static void accept square bracket a and int n. Kindly do not use a new over here for a very simple reason. It means that this particular variable a, if you are getting confused, let me name it as x. This variable x is pointing to which particular location a for which the memory is already declared, using this particular line. Okay. What I'm going to do over here, I'm going to accept the data. So I'm going to accept the data int I. For I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. What I'm going to say over here, tell me, I need to accept the data into this array. So what should I do? What should I do? I need to declare a scanner object. Yes or no? See, this scanner was local over here. This scanner was local to this. It cannot be accessed over here. Why? Because this will be accessible only in this particular function. And I haven't told you how to declare a global scanner so that you could accept the data. So what you should be doing is, you should be declaring a scanner object. Okay. Can I declare the same thing over here? Yes, you could declare the same thing over here. Let's see what happens when you do that, whether it complains or not. So we have declared a scanner object over here. Okay, why I need it? To accept the value into an array. So I will say obj dot next int. But where is the value supposed to be stored? The value is supposed to be stored in array. What is the name of an array? X of I is equal to so and so. That's it. Okay. So x of I is equal to obj dot next int. Why I have written x? Because in my function I declared this as an array of the type int square bracket. So x is a variable of the type integer array. And where it is pointing to? It is pointing to something called as a. After that, what we do? We write the function called as display. So let's again write the function static void display, okay, int square bracket x comma int n. What we are supposed to do? We are supposed to display the contents. So what I do over here, I copy this. I haven't completed the program. Let me complete it, then I'll explain each and every point. What we need to do? We need to display the content. So remove this and say system dot out dot print x of I plus space. Okay. Now here we accepted the data using a scanner object, but we haven't closed it. So after this, what I'm going to do? I'm going to say obj dot close. And in this, what I do? Again declare an array. Instead of declaring it as x, I could declare it as z. Still no problem, and it should work. Let's see whether the code will run or not. Here what you did, you declared an array a. Okay, you allocated the memory for array. We haven't accepted a data. So how do I accept a data? You accept a data by making a call to accept. Okay, so hence this function should be declared as static. What we did, we declared a scanner object. What we did, we accepted a data. What we did, we closed the object. Then what we have a display function. For I is equal to 0, I less than n, what we did, we displayed the contents. Okay, end of the program. Now let's run it, and then I will take your questions. Okay, so what is the size? Let's assume the size is 5. Okay, so now what is happening? It has made a call to the accept function. So let's enter the values as 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Numbers have been entered, and then it is making a call to the display function. Okay. Now Pay attention over here. Let's put one system.out.print so that you come to know that we are really executing that particular function. System.out.print in except function. Make it ln, otherwise it will keep it on the same line. Okay. And then in the display function, system.out.println, and then in display function. Okay. Now let's run this again. Let's type the value as 3. Let's enter. So in except function 10, 20, 30. In the display function, the value displayed is 10, 20, 30. So what is happening in this case is something like this is happening. File, new, don't save. Okay. Pay attention. In the main, what is happening? N is equal to 3. Declared at address 1000. Because of int square bracket a is equal to new int, what happened? We declared an array with how many elements? 3 elements. Okay. So what is an address? The address is 2000. So now this is the address 2000, 2004, 2008. Okay. So when now this is the scenario of the main function. So when I make a call to the except function and make a call by typing name of an array which is a and the number of element which is 3, what is going to happen is in the except function, what I have written, I have said something like static void except, and in the except over here static void except int square bracket x and int n. So what is happening in this case is straightforward. What is the value of n? 3. That gets copied over here. That gets copied over here. In this case, what is happening? You don't say a gets copied over here. Rather, I will say x will now go and point to which particular address? This particular address. Why? Because what is a? A is an array. An array is always the base address. What is the base address? 2000. So x is pointing to something called as a base address directly. Are you with me? So now in this particular function, what I'm doing? I'm going to accept the data. I'm going to accept the data. So when I accept the data as 10, 20, 30, if I enter 10, 20, 30, what should happen? It is directly getting entered over here, 10, 20, and 30. Okay. Now when I make a call to the display function and then I pass a comma n, what is happening over here? What is happening over here? I have written something like static void display. Okay. And then I'm saying, let's assume I said int square bracket z int n. Okay. Now what is happening in this case? What is z? Z is nothing but pointing to a. Where it is pointing? It is pointing over here. So when I write a code to display the contents, what should happen? It should display 10, 20, and 30. Is this clear to you? Is this clear to you? Yes, no? Kindly have a look at this particular diagram because it is important. In case you have any doubt, ask me, because I'm going to ask you one more question. Now pay attention. My next question is over here, this value of n. What if I do something like this? Somewhere over here, n is equal to 10 if I make it. If I say n is equal to 10 in the accept function, what will happen to this particular n? What will happen to this particular n? Kindly think and answer. See, in my main, there is n is equal to 3. I have an array. I make a call to the accept. I make a call to the display. In the accept, I said in 10. And this n was changed to 10. What will happen to this particular n? Kindly type the answer. That will indicate. Kindly type your answers, please. Because that will indicate whether you have understood this or not. I'll wait for a minute and then I will discuss this with you. Okay, so point number one, what question I asked was something like this. See, again I'm explaining, there is an n, you accepted the scan, you declared a scanner, you accepted the value, assume that the value entered is 3. Okay, you declared the memory for 3 elements, you make a call to the accept, no one is going to stop you from changing this n to 10. Okay, so this n is 10. Now how many times this loop is going to run? 10 times. How many times you are going to accept the data? 10 times. Let's see what happens when I do something like this. Now instead of 10, I will change it to 5. I will change it to 5. Now let's run this again. What is the value I have entered? 2. Accept. What is the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to change the value to 5. Okay, then let's assume 10, 20. Then what happens? The moment I enter the 2 value, the moment I try to enter the third value, see again, my original array was of how many elements? 2 elements in the main. I changed the size of n in the function. I accepted the 2 values. The moment I tried to accept the third value, what happened? It gave me an exception. Why it gave me an exception? It is saying that you are trying to enter the third element, but there is no array with the third element. Yes or no? Because the moment I declare it as 2, what does this line indicates? This line will indicate that you have allocated the space for these 2 elements. If I enter 2, it means it can hold only how many values? 2 values. Now in the function, if you change the size of n, it doesn't matter. When I say this in square bracket x, what it means, x is pointing to which location? This particular location. So that means this array can store how many values? 2 values. You are trying to store how many values? 5 values. That is not possible because the memory is not allocated. So it complains saying that array index out of bound. There is no concept of overflow. It is saying that you are trying to cross the size of an array for which memory is not allocated. So it is giving me an error. It is going to give me an error. Is it clear to you? So let's not change the value of n over here. Let's come to this display function. Let's come to this display function. Okay, I'm not even changing the value of n. Now here what I will do, I will make it as 5. Here I will make it as 5. And let's see what happens when you try to run this. Again I will run the code. Again I will try to run the code. I want to allocate a memory only for 2 elements. I enter the 2 elements. No issues over here. But in the display, the moment I try, after displaying 10 and 20, the moment it tries to cross the size of an array, what will happen? It will give me an error saying that you are crossed the size of an array, hence it will give me an error. Hence it will give me an error. Is it clear to you, everyone? Yes, no? So once you have declared the size, you cannot change the size. Once you have declared the size, you cannot change it. And if you try to change it and run the code, then what will happen? It will give me an error. It will give me an error. If you have any doubts, kindly raise it. See, pay attention. Let's try to understand a very simple point. Okay, let's remove this and let's call the display function. Let's pass the value of n. Okay, and let's try to display the value. System dot out dot print line n. Okay, let's copy this line over here. Over here. We do not need a scanner, so let's not accept the value. In this function, I am saying int n. And here I am saying n is equal to 100. Okay. Okay, pay attention all of you. I declared a class in which there are two functions, main and display. Main and display. So we have declared a variable n, we have displayed the value. Let's make it as 10, otherwise it is going to complain. Okay, system.out.println, what it is going to display? It is going to display 10. Now I'm making a call to the display function. In the display function, what is the value of n? It is 100. It is 100. So when I try to display the value, point number 1, what is displayed over here? And point number 2, what is displayed over here? That means what is displayed at location A, what is displayed at location B? What is displayed at location A? What is displayed at location B? Kindly quickly type the answer so that I can explain it. Only one answer I have got. Either you have not understood or you have just started and left. Okay, it is your headache. Point number 1, let me explain this. This is main. This is display function. What is the value of variable? N. What are the original value? 10. When I make a call to the function display by saying I want to make a call to the display function with the value n, what it means that there is a separate variable n, separate, I'm saying separate. What do you mean by separate? Its address is different, this address is different, which has got the value as 10. Now when I say n is equal to 100, what happens is this value changes to 100. When the function execution is over and it goes back over here, what is the original value? Your original value is 10. That means before calling the function, the value is 10. Inside the function, the value is 100. When we come back, the value is 10. Is this clear to you? Is this clear to you? Okay. Now, when it is an array, slightly different thing happens. And what happens is something like this. We have declared an array with 3 elements. So let's assume the address is 1000. Obviously, this will be 1004, this will be 1008 because array elements are stored next to each other. When I make a call to the display and do something like this, okay, let's take it as X so that it becomes very clear. Oh, let's make it as A only. Now, what happens is this A is pointing to this address. This A is pointing to this particular address. Okay. So, there is an n over here with the value 3. Now, if I change the contents of n to 5 and if I try to accept the data for 5 elements, it cannot do it because it has got memory allocated only for 3, not for the 5. For a very simple reason, this is pointing to this. So, what I'm trying to tell you is when you pass an array, it doesn't copy the contents. Rather, the array points to the original array. The array points to original array. If you change the variable name to X, X will again still point to the same location. Hence, when you try to change this value, you cannot accept the data for 5 elements because it is pointing over here. At the most, it can accept the data for 3 elements. It will not accept the data for 5. Is it clear to you? But if the original contents were 10, 20, 30, can we change the contents from a function? Yes, we can change the contents. Tomorrow we'll be having a look at it. Since this X points over here, we can easily change the contents of this array. Clear? Understood? So I'll be sending you, all of you, I'm going to mail you certain questions from the course chef. Kindly practice it. Okay. So now, this will be the end of the session. I'll be continuing on Monday. In a random case, will the value of n change if you call a function using an object? Yes, but I haven't taught you how to create a class, how to create an object. That time we'll be discussing. This is call by value. This is call by value. This is call by address. But we haven't reached over there. Okay, you all can leave. Thank you.